fixing the noise that's made by dirty drawbar contacts. You can hear the static. To do this job, you don't need that many tools. This is pretty much it. Most important tool is going to be a nut driver. It's almost impossible to get these things with a screwdriver without stripping the heads off. This is just a 1/4" nut driver. A couple of good screwdrivers of different sizes to fit whatever it is, screw head that you want. It's got to be a good fit so you don't strip them out. Little jeweler's screwdriver. This is to remove the springs from the drawbar housing. You need one kind of big screwdriver to get the cover off. Every once in a while you might need a 1/4" open end or box end wrench. There's a couple of screws in there that you can't get with the nut driver that you have to get with the open end wrench. Little brush for scrubbing out your drawbars. The two chemical products that I would recommend is deoxit. I use the red for every connector that you take apart. Go ahead and give it a couple of squirts of deoxit. Deoxit fader lube is what I use for the drawbars after they've been cleaned before reassembly. I found that it does a very fine job. You're going to need yourself a pink pearl eraser probably, depending upon how badly oxidized your contacts are. A couple little bins to put your screws in. These are from Macaroni and Cheese. Another very important thing, I prefer good old North Carolina Scuppernong line. I highly recommend some sort of fortification. And the last thing is, need a big bucket of patience, okay? To try to do this thing and rush through it, and all you're going to do is make a mess out of things. So just go slow, be patient, and the results will be well worth it. That's all I got to say. We get started. First thing we're going to have to do is take off the top. Now, I already started taking this thing apart before I decided, hey, this would be a good opportunity to take a video. There's two screws up underneath here, one on this side, one you have to open up this little door that houses the harp, and there's another screw right up under here. As soon as you do that, the back end will come loose. You get those two screws out. What you got to do is unplug the lamp. The front is held by two posts. You're going to have to kind of pop it loose. Just a matter of lifting the top off, putting it aside for right now. Before we go any further, however, what you want to do is take something to protect the ends of the organ. I have these thick pieces of plastic that I slide each way, each side. Now, I imagine you could probably use a piece of cardboard, like from a wrapping box or something like that would work. So what that's going to do is protect the sides. Okay. To remove these, all of the screws have been conveniently removed for us right now. You're going to take off these covers that house the vibrato circuit boards. There are two small cutouts on this sheet metal piece on the top. It's hard to get off. You get a fairly large screwdriver, kind of twist it, get it in there. You can break it loose. What it is these spring clips are grabbing hold of that piece of sheet metal pretty securely. So what you need to do is break it loose. What you don't want to do is put that screwdriver down in there too deeply, otherwise you're going to end up destroying some of the circuitry underneath. Okay. This particular H uses a tube preamp right here. At this point in time, probably be best to just go ahead and take the silly thing out. It's just going to get in your way. There's nothing more than 3 screws on each side. 1, 2, 3, and disconnecting these plugs, and she comes right on out. The later H's have a solid state preamp that's actually a small unit, a small circuit board that's bolted up underneath there, and that is really not necessary to take it out because it really doesn't get in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that right now. Okay, once that's out, next thing you want to do is all of these screws that hold this back plate in place. Going to want to remove it, as well as unplug these 4 plugs. After those screws are out, there's one more thing that you need to do. Down here you'll see a terminal strip. It's held on by 2 screws. You're going to want to take that loose. Reason that we're doing all of this is because these wires don't have enough slack in them to allow you to tilt this whole thing back. And the last thing you want to do is to start jerking wires off of this thing and trying to trace where they came from. So that's the reason that we're taking these things loose. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is take this loose carefully, lay it down thus. To just kind of hang there. I don't think anything can get hurt as long as it doesn't. The reason we took that back piece off is because all these nylon clamps on this wire harness hold that wire harness so tightly that you cannot tilt this back out of the way with those clamps in place. With this back piece in here, it's almost impossible to get in here and loosen these clamps. So, next thing you want to do is every place that there's one of these plastic clamps is go ahead and loosen it. Just go ahead and take the screw completely out and let the clamp just kind of had problems with is this one little board here. I just took these 2 screws out of here and let it loose. There's some wires attached to this that seem to be historically too short to allow movement. There's 4 more screws that hold this whole thing in place. You can see 1, 2, and on this side 3, 4. Okay, once those screws are loose, this entire switch mechanism can be lifted off.